Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
The Suicide Squad, written and directed by James Gunn, out now on HBO Max, part of the day-and-date releases. And I gotta say, I've been a very negative person towards the majority of the DC films that have come out. Obviously, the Nolan films are great. Then you have Joker, which was amazing. And even the Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman film, was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But every other single DC film, the Batman, Superman, anything with Zack Snyder in it, definitely the last Suicide Squad film, all of those are complete and utter garbage. So walking into this movie, even though I wasn't walking, I was already at home. I just turned it on the TV. Even though my fingers were walking to click on the album artwork to play this movie, I had a very, very low bar. But I was, hopeful. James Gunn has done great stuff with Disney. What are they called? The Guardians of the Galaxy movies are great. And he brought that energy right on over to DC in the most fun movie that I've seen in a long time. Really fun B-movie energy, tons of gore. Great soundtrack, as he is known for doing, and it's not your typical DC soundtrack, which is, whatever you would find in a jukebox, playing in some like redneck bar, like just a soundtrack that fits better inside of a Vietnam War film than it does in a modern day comic book film. Just the generic same music that it seems most DC movies had been scored to was not that. Very, very fun mix of different music. Great action scenes, just some amazing action scenes. Really sets up the idea of what a Suicide Squad is. Like, they are a team that is destined to die. They're going in to basically do a mission that would be for Ethan Hunt and his crew, the Mission Impossible crew. But instead, it's given to these guys, as a decoy or whatever. And the whole opening sequence of this film is setting up this team of superheroes to go, and they're going to this beach, and it's just like a complete like misdirection. Because you don't realize, like, this whole setup, you got Pete Davidson, and who else? There's a bunch of guys. You got Nathan Fillion. You got, who's that other guy? The main guy. Michael Rooker. It almost feels like it's a Michael Rooker film when it first begins. I mean, he's the first guy you see when he's in this prison throwing the ball against the wall, very much like Ethan Hunt did in the beginning of whichever Mission Impossible movie that was, except for he was using a rock instead of a ball. But a similarity there as well. Another similarity is once you get to the core team, I mean, that first team really is it's just, spoilers. Let's do spoilers. Go watch this movie. It's a lot of fun. Gory, R-rated, campy, knows what it is, but epic action scenes. And I think the way it's handled, the absolutely ridiculous characters that are in this movie are completely paid off by how well everything's handled. The comedy, the action, all of it. It's amazing. Go watch it. I'm going to spoil it. So all of that team that's being assembled at the beginning of this movie is a distraction. And you don't see that until there's this moment that happens where I realize what kind of movie I'm watching. And it's right when the team hits the beach and you see Pete Davidson's character just like clearly working for the other side, going, hey, did you get my call? I told you we were going to be here, whatever. Like, complete jerk. Like, he's going to be the guy that I really don't like in this movie, which I didn't even know he was going to be in this movie. And then all of a sudden, his face just gets blown off. And it's like, one of the great parts of this movie as well is that a lot of the effects feel practical. Whether they are or not, debatable, whatever. But there's a lot of, like, things that happen that feel like practical effects, or at least they're shot in ways that practical effects would be shot, and maybe they, like the scene where Pete Davidson's face gets blown off, it's just like a chunk of his face is just removed from his head, and it feels like, a B horror movie practical effect that you would see in like the 90s. So much of this, which I love. I love that so much. Obviously, there's a ton of CGI. There's multiple CGI characters. The Weasel guy is, whatever. He's part of the decoy. But the King Shark is amazing. Who was the body double was Steve Agee, who plays a different character in like the control room. But it's voiced by Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is not Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sylvester Stallone voices, which is funny how similarly structured this movie is in a lot of ways to the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, you have a digitally animated character that speaks very little, voiced by an action superstar. Vin Diesel being Groot, and then Sylvester Stallone being King Shark. I thought it was a lot of fun. The similarities anyway. I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the title cards or the chapter cards in this. The practical chapter cards that they have are great. Like, every piece of this movie I really enjoyed. But it's at that moment where Pete Davidson's face gets blown off where it hit me. It hit me. It's like, oh yeah, finally a movie I can get into. Like, I was hoping, like, I'd hate going into a movie that I'm not going to like. I hate spending time watching a film that just is bad, which most DC movies are just bad. And I was scared that this was going to follow suit. This was going to, be the same trend. Just Warner Brothers can't get a director to do, but James Gunn, written and directed, just the most fun. And the thing that I love even more than what he did with Disney and Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy is that he can go and do far more ridiculous stuff, like an R-rated movie, which Disney would never do. There's just a freedom there. So I enjoy this on another level, that it's going to open up, hopefully, James Gunn and other directors that are not Zack Snyder, who is a horrible director. He's horrible at writing. He's horrible at directing. He's proven it in so many films. So many films of his are just bad, but they keep hiring him. I don't know why. Fans love his movies. Like, I guess it's just got to be all fan service. It's got to be all references in there more so than any story. Like, you have to read like all of the comic books from this series to even comprehend the plot of what's going on, which is just bad storytelling. It's like the Family Guy of storytelling. It's just references instead of actually writing. So I like that this could open up to more James Gunn. I would love to see him do a bunch of these movies because it's just ridiculous. You got Polka Dot Man, which becomes like this amazing character that has a fun, like, his delusion of seeing his mom in everybody, and like he shoots polka dots, and then like he gets these glowing polka dots if he doesn't, and he has to. It's great. It's a great character that most directors would not be able to handle correctly. It would just be some side character like all of the characters were in the first Suicide Squad movie that nobody cares about. But you end up caring about all these people. Obviously, Harley Quinn is back. She was part of Team A, but she survives, gets captured, but she plays right into the dude's game, which is amazing. And then her escape scene is beautiful. It's like, there's been a lot of really good action films headlined by women. Gunpowder Milkshake, great example. But there's been a lot of them. Neon Blonde. I don't know if I'm saying that one right. There's been a lot. Very good. But the Harley Quinn, the last movie, the Secret of the Ooze, where it was just her movie, a lot of fun action. I think it's the best female action since like Kill Bill. Her scene where she escapes and then she meets up with Team A, who's like in process of trying to rescue her. And then she's so like her character is so lovable because she loves that they were going to save her so much. She's like, oh, just go back in there. It's great. It's so heart. There's heart. Oh my gosh. There's characters that you care about that have heart and that like they care about each other and like you understand their motivations. John Cena, probably the only movie that I've enjoyed John Cena in. Not particularly a good actor by any means. Out of the wrestler turned actors, I would say he is on the low end. Batista, which is obviously, it's kind of weird that there's that kind of mirroring between Guardians and this one as well. But I think Batista's far better actor. The Rock, the most charisma. Not a great actor, but charismatic as all get out. This is a statement I never use. But John Cena in this one, sure. John Cena dancing is funny. And then the rest of it, like he's a good action guy, kind of, meathead kind of guy. So it's not like playing too much. But I really enjoyed it. So they get Harley Quinn. There's a scene with Idris Elba where he's still in prison. They're going to recruit him, and his daughter comes in, like they're using his daughter as leverage to get him to join the team. And there's this great scene where they fuck you scene to each other. Just the best. Aside from Pete Davidson's face getting blown off, then I see Idris Elba in a fuck you match with his daughter in prison. Great. Like I want backstories I want James Gunn to do backstory spin-off movies on every single one of these characters. Like, I want to see a father-daughter comedy thing with Idris Elba and his daughter. I want to see, like, the spin-off movie of Polka Dot and Shark King, even though I think Polka Dot dies in this. Spoiler. I want to see, so many of these movies. Just so much fun. Like, even, like, a Pete Davidson Weasel Guy prequel of like it be like a road movie or something. I don't know. Just I think there's a lot that a lot of potential was discovered when this movie came out. Like the potential of DC, the potential of what James Gunn can do. Like James Gunn, in a lot of ways, similar to Nolan when he came out with the Batmans. He's like, this is how you could do this thing. Christopher Nolan made it very realistic, very grounded in reality. And then you have James Gunn taking on the bad guy in this is a starfish with an eyeball. But ridiculous. Ridiculous to see this gigantic starfish with an eyeball, giant like a human eyeball in the center as the monster. And then it just like leaks out tiny little drone face huggers. But makes sense when they claps to the people's faces and then you have that eyeball. The character instantly makes sense. But, like, ridiculous. And he handles it perfectly. He's like, here, this is how you do it. This is how you handle ridiculous characters. You make it fun. You make it, like, big. You treat them with respect. You treat them as if they are characters in a movie that are people. Like the polka dot thing where he sees his mom and he's, like, completely, like, dark. He's a dark character. That's why I want to see a movie with him. Just so good. So good. So once they get what's her face? Harley Quinn joins the team. They start tracking down the mad scientist who looks like this pinhead guy with it. Great, like really fun kind of a character in and of itself. He's like the only guy that can communicate with this, or so he says. With this alien species that was brought, the U.S. space a U.S. space mission found this starfish out in space and brought it back to use as a weapon. But yeah, K-Flay, one of my favorite musicians, artists. One of her songs is playing in the club that they're at, where they're all kind of having fun, drinking. You see John Cena dance. That was a lot of fun. When Harley Quinn escapes, it's like the cartoon and floweriness that it was so much has a lot of feel vibes as similar to the scene in her movie, where like a lot of the bullets and stuff were just like colored powder exploding, like very colorful, very bright and vibrant and cheery, despite the fact that carnage is going on. That was great. Let's see, the use of every team member, similarly to Mission Impossible 5, Ghost Protocol, the one by Brad Bird. Probably the best use of the MI5 or the IMF team, possible mission force, where every character is using their ability to do a thing. You get a lot of that, like in this, like people are used to a good scenario. And it's funny, like there's this thing that they think they're saving another one of their team members. And they go into this encampment, and they're just taking people out, effortlessly taking people out. You know, John Cena's on rooftops blowing darts into people's necks. And then they find the guy, and they realize that they just invaded a camp of people that were on their side. Just hilarious. Like these are people that are horrible at their job. They're there to die. They're not there to succeed. They're just there as bodies to throw out a problem. But they end up succeeding because of teamwork. So much fun. Great scene where the shark guy tears a guy in half. Like a lot of just really fun. In the beginning moment, I think it's right after Pete Davidson's face gets blown off, they have this body detachment guy. Kid, I don't know, his arms come off and then they go slap the bad guys in the face. Ridiculous but funny. It works. It's like once I saw what this was, I could let it get away with everything because I knew I was in the hands of somebody who knew what they were doing, or at least it felt like it. And it turned out by the end of this movie, it did. There's also an amazing little scene where there's a fight going on, but it's shown in the reflection of a helmet, of John Cena's character's helmet. Just great. Just so many great scenes. Scene where the shark guy he made the little C4 version of John Cena. Adorable, you know? Something you'd see Groot doing. Whittling like a pickle that looks like Iron Man or whatever. Yeah. So much fun. I really enjoyed the movie. Every part of it was great. Even the aspects of the movie where it's back in the control center, like the suits that are in charge of putting the team together, like the way they handle, like there's a scene that's almost similar to the first Suicide Squad that was just really bad, where they're like showing the profiles of everybody. But in this scene, all of the people, they're looking at the profiles, but they're betting on who's going to be the first to die. Like even the people behind the scenes working know that, like, oh, these people are like, they're so expendable. It's crazy. But then you have like the leader of that is constantly threatening the life of Idris Elba's daughter. You know, like, oh, well, we busted her for something and we're going to send her to the prison that you're at, because that prison, we can like just kill people. It's well known for people just dying in this prison. And that's where we're going to send your daughter. So it's like, you know, these threats that they're going to kill his daughter, and that's like what keeps him going in. You have Steve Agee kind of on the other side, along with the other people that kind of, I just enjoyed it. Everybody like made sense. It had heart. It was a lot of fun. Seriously, never thought that I would be like, it's almost more fun than any Disney movie. Any of the Marvel movies don't have this level of fun because they can't, because being too R-rated or being too like adult for Disney is just not part of their ethos. They want your money. They just don't want to treat you like adults. Where this one, it's like, oh, it's just like a breath of fresh air. It was so much fun. It's just wacky in the best ways, funny, heartfelt, amazing action sequences. Really loved it. And I'll probably be watching it many more times because it was just so much fun to watch. So check it out. It's on HBO Max. It's probably in theaters, but, Delta variant and all that. HBO Max is the place to go. It's got tons of movies over there. But this one is one I would highly recommend checking it out. The Suicide Squad, written and directed by James Gunn. Watch it. Get yourself some amazing coffee over at stationhousecoffee.com and follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. That's your place for small batch, single origin, premium coffee brewed in Thetford Center, Vermont, shipped directly to you. Go now to stationhousecoffee.com and order yourself some amazing coffee. And don't forget to follow Station House Coffee. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!